Rewriting your story when trauma meets triumph. Have you ever wondered what happens in that space between breaking and becoming? That moment when you're standing in the wreckage of what was, staring at what could be, and somehow finding the courage to take that first step forward? I recently had the extraordinary privilege of interviewing Khadijah Veal, whose insights into resilience and redefinition left me profoundly moved. To call her merely inspiring would be like calling the ocean merely wet. Khadijah is a force of nature who has transformed countless lives through her work, showing people how to alchemize their deepest pain into their greatest power. Her wisdom forms the backbone of what I'm sharing today, a roadmap for those navigating the delicate journey from trauma to triumph. Here's what I know for sure: we all carry wounds, some visible, most hidden. But what separates those who merely survive from those who genuinely thrive isn't the absence of pain, it's what they choose to do with it. The most powerful people I've met aren't those who've never fallen. They're the ones who've crashed spectacularly, felt the full weight of that impact, and then somehow found the audacity to rise again. Not unchanged, but undefeated. Think about it. When was the last time someone asked you who gets to define your success? Not your parents, not your community, not your Instagram feed, but you. When did you last give yourself permission to tear up the script handed to you and write your own? Because that's where true power lives, not in perfection, but in the radical act of self definition. Let me tell you about Khadijah Robinson. While grinding away at a prestigious law firm, the kind of job many would consider the pinnacle of success, she felt a persistent emptiness. Something was missing. Instead of ignoring that feeling, she leaned into it. Working full time as an attorney, she built Nile List, a platform connecting consumers with Black owned businesses from scratch. The dual pressure was immense. Doubt crept in constantly. Burnout lurked around every corner, but Robinson refused to abandon either path. Success isn't about choosing between your dreams, she once said. It's about having the courage to pursue them all, even when everyone tells you it's impossible. What's remarkable isn't just that Nile List succeeded, eventually being acquired in a significant deal. What's remarkable is that Robinson redefined what success meant for her. She rejected the binary choice between corporate achievement and entrepreneurial fulfillment. She chose both on her terms. How many of us are living someone else's definition of success right now? How many of us are chasing metrics that, even when achieved, leave us feeling strangely hollow? This isn't just philosophical musing. This is practical liberation. Consider Hazrat Khadijah, a woman who lived centuries ago, yet whose story remains startlingly relevant. Long before she became known as Prophet Muhammad's wife, she was Mecca's most successful businesswoman. In an era when women were routinely marginalized, she built and ran a trading empire that spanned multiple countries. What's often overlooked in her story is that before her business success, she experienced profound personal loss. Widowed multiple times, she faced circumstances that could have defined her solely as a victim of tragedy. Instead, she chose to define herself through enterprise and ethical leadership. She hired based on merit, including a young man named Muhammad, whom she would later marry, and built her reputation on integrity rather than exploitation. Her business flourished not despite the societal limitations placed on women, but in bold defiance of them. When faced with loss, she chose creation. When faced with limitation, she chose expansion. When society offered her a narrow definition of womanhood, she chose to rewrite it entirely. This isn't ancient history, it's a blueprint for modern resilience. I see the same spirit in Khadijah Behzad, an Emirati entrepreneur who founded Meet the Locals in Dubai, in a city often reduced to luxury shopping and architectural marvels. Behzad saw something deeper, cultural richness worth sharing. She faced skepticism about whether authentic local experiences could thrive amid rapid modernization. She navigated bias against young female leaders in her industry. The easier path would have been conformity building, yet another glossy tourism company offering superficial experiences. Instead, Behzad chose authenticity. She trained local guides to share genuine cultural knowledge. She built partnerships across sectors. She positioned cultural exchange not as a luxury, but as essential for sustainable tourism. Today, Meet the Locals is internationally recognized, and Bezad trains others at Dubai College of Tourism. She didn't just build a business, she created a new narrative about what tourism could be, one that honors rather than exploits cultural heritage. What these three women, Robinson, Hazrat, Khadijah, and Bezad, share isn't just entrepreneurial success, it's something far more profound: the courage to define success on their own terms. And that's what I want to talk about today. Not just resilience, though that's part of it, but the radical act of self definition that makes resilience possible in the first place. Because here's what I've learned from Khadijah Veal and these remarkable women: trauma doesn't define you, your response to it does. We all face moments that threaten to break us: the loss of a job, the end of a relationship, health challenges, systemic barriers, discrimination, violence, grief in its countless forms. These experiences mark us, they change us, but they don't have to determine us. The question isn't whether you'll face trauma, you will. The question is whether you'll let that trauma write the rest of your story or whether you'll pick up the pen yourself. Robinson could have abandoned her entrepreneurial dreams when the pressure became overwhelming. Hazrat Khadijah could have retreated into the background after experiencing personal loss. Bezad could have created yet another superficial tourism company instead of fighting for authentic cultural exchange. But they didn't. They chose to respond to their challenges by creating something new, not just in the world, but in themselves. This isn't toxic positivity. I'm not suggesting you plaster a smile over your pain or pretend your trauma doesn't matter. Quite the opposite. I'm suggesting you honor that pain by refusing to let it have the final word. As Khadijah Veal emphasized in our conversation, gratitude and growth are essential after grief. This isn't about rushing through your healing process. It's about recognizing that even in your darkest moments, you're developing strengths you couldn't have gained any other way: the ability to sit with uncertainty, the capacity to begin again, the wisdom to distinguish between what you can and cannot control, the courage to ask for help, the compassion that comes from knowing what it means to suffer. These aren't consolation prizes for your pain. They're transformative powers being forged within you if you're willing to recognize them. And that recognition, that gratitude for your own resilience becomes fuel for what comes next. I'm reminded of a powerful affirmation: I am not what happened to me, I am what I choose to become. This isn't just beautiful language, it's a practical framework for living. It's permission to stop measuring your worth by metrics you never chose in the first place. Success isn't a singular destination, it's not a specific job title, relationship status, or bank balance. It's alignment between your actions and your values. It's the freedom to define what matters to you and then pursue it unapologetically. For Robinson, success meant creating economic opportunities for Black businesses while maintaining her legal career. For Hazrat Khadijah, it meant building a trading empire based on ethical principles. For Bezad, it meant preserving cultural authenticity amid rapid modernization. What does it mean for you? That's not a rhetorical question. I want you to actually answer it. Right now, what does success look like when you're the one defining it? Is it financial independence, creative expression, community impact, family connection, intellectual growth, spiritual depth, physical well being? Whatever it is, claim it. Write it down, speak it aloud, share it with someone who will hold you accountable to your own definition rather than imposing theirs. Because here's the truth: the world is full of people eager to define success for you, parents who want security for you, partners who want certainty with you, employers who want productivity from you, social media that wants engagement through you. None of these definitions are inherently wrong. The problem comes when we adopt them without questioning whether they align with our own values and desires. As Khadijah Veal emphasized, true empowerment comes from defining success on your own terms, not letting society, family, or anyone else dictate it for you. This isn't selfish, it's necessary because you cannot serve from an empty vessel. You cannot give what you don't have. You cannot lead others to freedom if you're living in captivity to someone else's expectations. So here's my challenge to you: stand up right now. Yes, literally stand up wherever you are. Feel the ground beneath your feet. That's your foundation. That's where your power begins. Now imagine the story you've been telling yourself about who you are and what you're capable of. Is it truly yours? Or is it a hand me down narrative that no longer fits? Today, not tomorrow, not next week, but today, I want you to take one audacious step toward rewriting that story. Have that conversation you've been avoiding. Apply for that opportunity you think you're not qualified for. Set that boundary you're afraid will disappoint others. Rest when everything in your culture says you should be hustling. Do it knowing that your trauma has given you gifts that no one can take away: perspective, resilience, compassion, clarity about what truly matters. These aren't just pretty words, they're your competitive advantage in a world that desperately needs people who know how to transform pain into purpose. Remember, the most powerful stories aren't those without struggle. They're the ones where struggle becomes the catalyst for something extraordinary. Your wounds can become windows through which others glimpse possibility. Your scars can become bridges that help others cross their own chasms of despair. This is your moment to decide. Will you remain a character in someone else's narrative, or will you become the author of your own extraordinary story? The pen is in your hand. The next chapter begins now. Thank you.